Okay, so this is the topic, how to quickly leverage your networks and gain more referrals and clients without being a content slave or doing cold outreach. Who loves doing cold outreach? Not me, even though I have done it on occasion, sometimes maybe too often. But certainly on a platform, if we're using LinkedIn, on a platform like LinkedIn, it doesn't work, or it doesn't work very well. You have to do a massive amount of it. So let's see if we can avoid all of that and just do what people like Catherine do. We just work through warm communities, referral systems, that kind of thing. Let's do it smart. So that's the covering slide there. All right. Now, I'm going to go through these mini lessons quite quickly. I want to bring this in, we said an hour, but I think we'll be able to finish it earlier than an hour. And then if there's any questions or banter or networking, we can do that at the end anyway. Okay, so section one is referrals and me, just a little bit of storytelling there. Section two is what I call moolah magic. It's about money, of course. Number three, fast start. It's about leverage, go for growth. It's about new assets. Speeding up the growth, that's where the referral ecosystems come into play. And finally, positioning for profit, know your lane. All right, so referrals and me. I got, I really don't like talking about myself very, very much, but people normally want a little bit of background. So I got started in what I call the belly-to-belly or the face-to-face sales arena when I was 19 years of age. And it was selling books door-to-door in Sydney, Australia. And, I'd never sold a thing in my life. I was very shy, painfully shy. But my mother encouraged me to do it. An interesting mum, but I'm very glad that she did that, actually. She encouraged me to do it because she thought it might help to overcome or at least reduce my shyness. But selling books door to door, oh, come on, give me a break. But anyway, I did it, and I failed miserably the first week. Second week, on Friday, I had to phone the sales manager, tell him my results. I said, these are my results. They're zero, and I'm quitting, by the way. I don't like this. I hate it. And he said, look, you promised your mum that you'd give it a really good go. 1 week is not enough. And he said, what about I come out with you and we see what's going on? So that's basically, I met with him on the following Monday, and he watched me. I was terrified because he was the number one seller of these books in the world. And he watched me. And after a few hours watching me fall flat in my face multiple times, he said, look, let's go to McDonald's or something and we'll have an orange juice and we'll talk about it. We did. And he said, there's two glaring things that I've noticed. One is that you're not engaging with people, having good conversations, just open conversations and asking the right questions so you can get to the truth. You find out what the real issues are. He said, that's number one. And number two is storytelling. You didn't tell any or many stories, and the stories you did tell weren't relevant for the person that you're talking to. Okay. So then he said, look, let's call it quits for the day. You go home, think about it, and you go back out tomorrow, taking on board what I've shown you, taught you now, and see how it goes. So that's exactly what happened. I went out on the Tuesday. I didn't make any sales, but I was much more confident. I felt invigorated, and I felt I was following his guidance to the T, but I didn't make any sales. But I did on the Wednesday and then on Thursday and a bunch of sales after that. So that's how I got started. And so he was my first, what we might call, sales mentor. I only hung around for about 4 or 5 months because I didn't really like it. And then I got offered a job selling life insurance, and that was another belly-to-belly opportunity. I was in that industry for 15 years. On the right-hand side, fast forward, online experiences, I started my journey in the online world in 2006. And I didn't have my own product to sell, so I joined someone's program and got started. Didn't know anything about the online world, had no idea how to generate leads or anything like that. it was a buy-in. I spent $10,000, which in 2006, I don't know, what is it now? $25,000 perhaps, or maybe more, I don't know, quite a bit. And but they assigned a coach, and that was a really good move. And she helped me get my first leads using Google AdWords, etc. And then I had to phone the leads, and that's where my storytelling skills, because by then they were finally honed, my storytelling skills and my conversational skills really came into their own. So I did very well with affiliate marketing, stayed in that industry for 10 years. But during this period, lots of people would approach me, they'd talk to me, they'd call me, or talk to me on Facebook or something like that and say, look, you're doing so well. I'm in the same company selling these affiliate products and I'm not making any money. What can we do? Can you help me? So I gave them a bunch of free help to start with. And I said to my wife, I said, gee, I'm helping people, not getting paid for it. I'm happy to do that because, sometimes I like to give. And she said, well, maybe you can make money out of it and you don't have to sell someone else's products. So that's how it started. So I developed my own course, I think it was called the 10K a month formula. It was only a cheap course, less than $100. And then I had some people saying to me, yeah, the course is really good, but my situation is different. I'd really love some personal coaching, consulting, something like that. So I developed packages there. And then that morphed into what I've been doing for years, at least the last 5 years, business storytelling via LinkedIn, case studies, origin stories, ghostwriting for CEOs and founders and people like that. So that's the brief version. Oh, actually, this is a guy that's helped me a lot, because I'm going to be talking a bit about referral ecosystems. And this guy, Mike, I met him in Cabo St. Lucas. I went there with my son for a marketing conference. Cost a fortune, this conference. It's $26,000. And this was in, would have been 2013. Okay. And there were hundreds of people there that all paid this 26 grand to go to the conference. But one of the speakers was this guy on the left, Mike. And we had a really good conversation during the lunch break, got to know him quite well, and we exchanged email addresses and all the rest of it. But he introduced me to a more advanced way of building referral systems, referral ecosystems. So that's why I include the photo there, because he helped me think in a slightly, or in a, perhaps even a more radically different way. But since then, so I started using his methodologies last year. But since then, I've modified them based on feedback that I've gotten from a lot of people. And so we've still got some of his original elements in there, but a lot more of our own stuff as well. But I thank Mike. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. First micro lesson here is Moolah Magic. It's about money. Now, most people are not greedy, but look, if your income doubled, your life would probably change for the better. Some people say, oh, my income is zero, so what does that mean if it doubles? No, well, you've got to be making some money, I guess. And you can positively impact other people's lives, not just your own. So there's nothing wrong with making money. There's a lot to be said for it. It's good. We can do a lot for our families. We can help other people, and we can grow our business. We've got working capital to grow our business. You have a business, and sometimes successful, other times not so much. I've had my ups and downs, even in the affiliate marketing industry. People who knew me, during that phase there, they thought I was a superstar all the time. And that's not true, because I did have some down periods. I had some periods where I wasn't getting any inbound leads from the advertising. But in a way, it was good because it became a stepping stone, and I vowed to create my own ways of generating leads. So I'd always be in control. So sometimes the grey cloud has a silver lining. As someone who has been in the sales and marketing arena since age 19, one thing is drilled into me very early: no pipeline, no hope. So think about your own situation. Have you got a pipeline of potential clients, people that are being nurtured? They're warm, they're hot, there are different stages in the process. Do you have that pipeline? Even though it's only a pipeline of 5 people, 10 people or something like that, you need to have it because it feeds your confidence. It's very good for your confidence, and ultimately it's great for your bank account. So think about that. It's really important that you have a plan in place to build your pipeline. Now, just a little thing here. The standard playbook is broken. You've probably tried some version of a typical post more, which is, post more. Can you turn off your microphones? If you can do that for me, that would be great, and we can turn them back on at the end. Just turn the little button there. So typical advice, for instance, is post more on LinkedIn, share your expertise, add value, maybe run some ads. It's all about, visibility, isn't it? But here's what's changed. Expertise has been commoditized. AI can generate surface level insights in seconds. Your competitors are posting the same tips, frameworks, and 5 things I learned content. When everyone's an expert, nobody stands out. That's the problem, especially for experts, especially for B2B experts. So you post more, you try harder, you add more value, and the results remain flat. So it's visible. That's not saying visibility isn't important. Sure, you want your website to rank with the search engines and even with AI now. Sure, you'd like to be getting some good results on LinkedIn. You'd like people to be commenting on your posts or getting some decent reach, decent views, etc. But visibility without trust is, for me, I think it's pretty much useless. B2B buyers are more skeptical than ever. They've been burnt by experts who overpromise. They don't buy based on who posts the most or who has the fanciest website. They buy based on who they trust, and trust comes from 3 things. One is proof, and lots of different ways of displaying proof. I always say that case studies is one of the absolute best ways of doing it, but testimonials and reviews, things like that. But what people seem to be motivated more by are real stories with real outcomes, not just the vendor, not just you, the vendor, talking about yourself. Think about your own, say, website or your LinkedIn profile or your LinkedIn posts. Are the posts really talking about the hot buttons that your audience is experiencing? Or is it more talking about yourself and photos of you being at a networking event? And I'm not saying that there's not a place for that, but it's a small place. It's not that important. So what people really want is evidence that you know what you're talking about. You've done it before, real stories with real outcomes. Another thing we want is warm introductions wherever possible. Warm is better than cold. A recommendation from someone they already respect is great because they already have a certain level of trust with the person that they're introducing you to. So some of that trust is transferred to you when they make an introduction to you and a recommendation for you to talk to them or them to talk to you, etc. And then finally, authority, a presence that signals depth, content that shows you understand their world better than anyone else. Now, most people rely on one of these and ignore the other 2. So they've got some, particularly, you've heard about these SaaS type companies, technical tech companies, etc. I noticed with a lot of their websites, they've got tons of case studies. The problem is that they're low impact case studies. They're traditional case studies that really, I call them the CSR case study. So it's about challenge, solution, result. That's it. There's no storytelling. There's no resonance. There's no real connection with the reader, and that's why nobody reads them, or not many. They get the occasional referral, but it's random. That's an issue with a lot of people. They say, yeah, I do get referrals, but I only get about 2 or 3 really good ones a year, right? And I wish I could get more referrals, but you can't control it. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can control it if you use a system. They post on LinkedIn, but it's a monologue, no engagement, no leads. Now, the reason none of these things work in isolation is that they should be working together. So your case studies give referral partners something concrete to share. So if you've got a case study that's going to be relevant for, let's say you have a referral partner, you've got an introducer type person, you can give them one of your case studies, right? And then that gives them more confidence to go into bat for you. Your referral partners extend their reach beyond your own network. So, you know, we've got our first level connections, but we want to move beyond that because you run out of first level connections, the people that you know already, you run out of them soon enough, just as I did when I was in the life insurance industry. They said, write a list of the people that you know. And I wrote a list of 50 or 60 people or something like that. But within a couple of months, it had gone. So I had to have some kind of a referral system in place to plug the gap. So we need referral partners, but we need to give them the right information so that they have the confidence to introduce you with strength and with some authority. Now, your LinkedIn authority makes every introduction convert at a higher rate. So, look, I'm not saying LinkedIn is the be-all and end-all. It's not. But I have found it to be a terrific networking platform for me because I use it the right way. So there are people on this call who have indirectly been introduced to me by people that I've met through LinkedIn. Absolutely. And Michelle, she wasn't introduced to me by one of my referral partners. I met her through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very powerful. It's just that most people don't use it properly. They don't use it. They think, you know, it's all about, you know, fame and, you know, just follow the big gurus and try and emulate them when it's really a networking platform. So if we change our thinking, the results will surely change. Now, when the magic three are linked and integrated, you don't chase clients. They end up coming to you directly or indirectly. Some of them are pre-sold, ready to talk. Others need a bit more warming up. That's fine. But that's the basic concept we're looking at here. And here's my little graphic. So you've got the three blue circles there. So on the bottom left, we've got case studies that sell. This is my method. This is what I'm saying that you should think seriously about. Then at the top, you've got authority content, which could be channeled through LinkedIn, could be channeled through another source as well. And then you've got referral ecosystems. And then in the middle, you've got positioning and messaging, the tactics that go along, the messaging tactics that accompany positioning. So that's how I look at it. Very simple, but I'm a simple guy. All right, number three, fast start, leverage. Is it about financial assets like money in the bank, gold, blah, blah? No. It's about people mainly. Also other assets such as digital assets, such as like a PDF free report that you could offer somebody as a kind of a lead magnet. That's how I got my first clients on LinkedIn. I created a report. It was kind of a cross between a report, a free report solving a particular problem, and a case study, one of my case studies, right? So I bundled it up into one document. So assets, your most valuable assets are your digital assets, including your website, but also your people assets. You already have people you know who form part of your warm market. This is where I start when launching a new campaign or venture. If I'm working with a client, do the same thing. I help them with that. Current people assets, I would say first degree connections. And okay, this is LinkedIn language. Even if you're not that active on LinkedIn, maybe you're active on another social platform or in some other way, just offline networking. It could be. It could be you attend business Zoom networking events, which I've done a reasonable amount of over the years. You meet those people, you do a call with them. They're first degree connections. They may not even be on LinkedIn, but they're still your first level connections, aren't they? The people you already know. Build warmth and trust with selected first level connections. And but before I go further, I want to look at the 4 different ways people use LinkedIn, and only one of them works extremely well. A couple of the others work okay, but here they are, the LinkedIn 4, pitch, baby pitch, algo adulation, happy chats, and profitable chats. Now, guess which one do you think might be the most productive? If we're talking about having conversations with people on, say, LinkedIn, it's got to be the last one, but sometimes happy chats work really well too. So, I mean, I've done Zoom calls with some people on this call tonight, and one-on-one Zoom calls, and we've had happy chats. We've had like networking calls, getting to know you, blah blah, all of that. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you want it to move somewhere else where you think maybe they're a potential client, or maybe they're a potential referral partner, an introducer, an influencer, or something like that, someone has got to take the lead and move things forward. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. We're just going to spin our wheels. Pitch, baby, pitch. Well, you know, that's why I don't like this one. Cold pitching, cold DMs, in-mail, spam, algo adulation, the exposure game. This is where you follow the big LinkedIn gurus, you know, and oh, hey, look at me. I've now got 500,000 followers. You too can follow my lead. Oh yeah, right. And that's about posting, commenting, and liking. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I do it. I post. I posted tonight or today, and I comment, but I don't do 200 comments a day, which is what some of the gurus teach, or at least they used to, until they got shamed out of doing it. And then a happy chat, as I said, that can be good as long as it leads somewhere, and it needs to lead to profitable chats in one way or another. Now, when I first started in 2021 with LinkedIn, before that I was very active on Facebook and did very well there, but I was struggling on LinkedIn. I started in January. By March, I hadn't made a sale, hadn't generated an inbound lead, nothing. I was posting content. I was getting good engagement, certainly a lot more than I'm getting now, but the algorithm was much more generous to us in 2021. So I'm not taking the blame for that. It's out of my control, and I just don't worry about it anymore. But so I decided to make a change, and so at the end of March 2021, I said, look, this is what I said to myself. I said, look, I looked in the mirror and I said, look, Willis, you got to stop this. You've got to go back and take the best from Facebook and the other things that you've done in the past and modify them to suit the LinkedIn platform. So that's what I did. And so I went back to opening conversations in the DMs, having conversations. But before I did that, I created a valuable asset. It was a free report. It was targeted at accountants. That was the first campaign. The second one was for business coaches or consultants. So I created a report for them, a relevant report. So it had to be relevant for their particular industry. And then I just, people that I started to chat with after a little while, after a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I said, hey, I've got this report. Let's say I was an accountant. I've got this report. Here's the name of the topic. I thought, gee, we've already had a few chats. I think this might be a good fit for you. If you're interested, great, I'll give it to you. If not, no problem. See, that's easy. Anyone can do that, almost. And so some of the accountants, it was about 15%, say, yeah, that sounds interesting. And from there, I got my first clients. So, so I opened conversations, discovered their hot button, offered the asset, and followed up, book calls, did deals. That was it. All right, number 4, go for growth, digital and people assets. So I said before, we've got 2 assets. The digital assets, so it can be reports or white papers, videos, events, case studies, and then we've got the people assets. We'll get to that in a minute, but just a bit more on case studies. I just want to educate you a little bit, because you may have these thoughts, or you may talk to somebody about case studies and then they say, oh, nobody reads case studies, for instance, what's another one? We'll come to them in a minute, but there's all sorts of, every service, every product, there's always objections. There are standard industry objections. Your business is no different. I guarantee that, I know for sure that there'll be, let's say you're a branding consultant or workplace consultant or something like that. There's always going to be objections that people have. Now, some of them might be 100% correct. Others, they're not correct. So there are objections. There are many objections about like case studies, customer business, customer success stories, they're objections, they're standard objections, and they are false, right? But it's up to us to make the case. And same in your business. So standard case studies packed with dry facts, corporate buzzwords, and no personality. No. They read like technical manuals or over-polished brochures. They're more about the company writing them than the client they're meant to feature. Case studies should be your most compelling sales assets. They should tell a story that your prospects can see themselves in. They don't just say we're capable, they prove it. So the difference between a standard case study and the type of case study that I do, that we do, is in this list here. So the standard case study is basically number one, the challenge, that was the problem, right? And so no, that's number one. Number three is the solution, and number five is the results. But they miss out on number two. They never cover it in the why it mattered section, number two. They never talk about implementation and their process, etc. And that's number four. And they don't talk about the impact, the difference it made. And the reason why they don't do that is because they rarely, if ever, interview the customer to find out what was really going on right at the beginning of the process, when they were fearful about hiring someone to solve their problem. They were wondering whether they were going to rip them off, all this kind of stuff. So our case studies are very much more like hero story type case studies. So I'm just giving a bit of information there just to so you're clear about some of these issues. If you start thinking about doing case studies in your own business and putting them on your website or whatever, you are going to come across these sorts of objections and the weaker ones versus the strong case study. So the storytelling structure that we use is they add emotion, relevance, clarity, also makes it much easier to remember than a bulletproof summary. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these, but this is my list of standard case study objections. People don't read case studies. Customers don't want to be named in case studies. That's true. Some of them don't. And there's a way around that. We either do an anonymous story. I've done them. I've got one. I'm right in the middle of one at the moment. Nothing I could do about it. He didn't want to be, the customer, the subject for the case study didn't want to be featured. That's the end of it. All right. Some people say, like founders, people, CEOs are talking to me, well, we know our customer stories better. We don't need to outsource it. Yeah, you might know the stories better, and you should, but you won't, although you know the stories better, you don't know what's relevant for the customer. What the customer wants to see is not a great big, thing about your expertise and how wonderful you are and all the rest of it and all the jargon and all the corporate speak, etc. They want to know about impact. They want to know about results. They want to know whether you can handle their situation because they feel it's different to everyone else's. One of our team members will do the writing in the customer interview. Yep, that's another objection, can be easily overcome. And if I explain how we do it, this one is coming up increasingly frequently, is my competitors will steal my intellectual property. The reality is that when you do a case study the right way, you're not giving them all your IP, not at all. You're giving them a framework. That forms part of the case study, and there's no way that they can steal anything of significant value from you. Okay, you can use case studies in sales conversations. For instance, let's say you've got a really great case study that solved a particular problem, and you're now talking to somebody that has the same problem that was featured in the case study. Well, you could just say something like, well, after the meeting, you could send them the relevant case study with a note. Thought you might find this interesting. These guys faced a very similar challenge, John. Hope you enjoy it. See, you can use the case studies in tandem with your sales conversations. Or if you're having a conversation, you can just mention it on the spot, the middle one. This reminds me of a client we worked with who had a very similar problem. Would you like to hear how we did it for them? Or I can give you the PDF now. It's up to you. It's far more powerful than a brochure or, pitch deck alone. Now, this is one of my case studies. This is a lady that I helped. Just giving you an idea of how we structure them. This is a lady I helped on Facebook. and it goes through, I can only show segments of it because I'm limited with the slides, but it's in PDF form. So obstacles faced and so on, the new adventures. There's storytelling, right? Show, don't tell, our process. See, I'm sharing my process. I have no worries about competitors stealing that because they don't know what I know. See? Fish in the right ponds. Okay, another area is prospecting, how to find quality people. So there's a little lesson there. The client who was featured in the story is on the right. I'm in the middle. On the left was my former partner, and on the left is Connie's husband. And then we wrap it up. Your business is unique, but your problems may not be. And then there's a call to action, a new adventure for you, and so on. That's the way to do a case study. All right, now onto the people assets. Connect with ideal people. Talking points. When you're connecting with people, I look for commonalities. Okay. Now I know there's some really good networkers in this on this little session tonight. Well, it's tonight my time. Okay. I know there's some really good networkers, and you do it anyway. But for those who are kind of new to it, or who are watching the recording, watching the replay, no problem at all. But some of the things that I do, I just look for points in common. So if it's LinkedIn, I meet somebody on LinkedIn. I notice that they went to the same school as I did. This is a simple one, but or they come from the same town, or they, I don't know, or could be that looking at their experience section now that they're in a similar job to what I was in years and years ago. Just points of common, location, education, their story. If they've got a sad story to tell that really resonated with me, I'll mention it. And sometimes we see it in the about section of LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, don't we? Where they talk about some, I remember there's one guy I'm connected to, sort of, he contracted cancer 2 or 3 times, and he's fighting back, and it's featured in his about section there. So when I started talking to him, I mentioned it to him. I said, I saw what you said there, it really moved me, and, asked him some questions, and it gets a conversation going. So it's in the early stages, it's conversations, not sales pitches. I don't need to do this because I've given you some examples anyway. But sooner or later, you might find that it's opportune to talk a little bit about business. What are you working on at the moment? Who are your ideal clients? But you do it when it's natural. I've been pitched, and you may have been pitched in the same way, where you get a connection request and you accept the connection request, and within 30 seconds, the guy or lady is, saying to me in the DM, say, oh, hey, how's it going? What are you working on at the moment? And as soon as they say that, bang, I know there's going to be a pitch, right? It's this sort of standard thing there. And then they might start saying, who are your ideal clients? Look, there's a good and the wrong, there's a right and wrong time to be doing these things. So if you want to move towards the topic of business, which is, after all, what LinkedIn is about, let's just build a relationship first and see if we can do a little bit of friendshipping. And if it feels good, do it. If not, don't. So an ask might be a gentle ask. Invite them to something you're doing. I call it more of a give. A give. Let's say I've got something, a workshop coming up today, even if it's not mine, somebody else's. I say, look, I can't help you with that problem, but I know somebody who's doing a workshop, and she's fantastic on this, and you really need to be listening to her. Do you want me to introduce you? Blah blah blah, something like that. Or what have I got here? Perhaps we can hop on Zoom and see if we can create referral opportunities for each other. See, that's beautiful. That's not really an ask. That's a give. I'm going to change that. Point 4. I'm going to call it a give. That's a give. That's a gift. All right, referral ecosystems, number 5. Now, you've heard of 6 degrees of separation. I'm assuming why your ideal clients are closer than you think. 6 degrees of separation is the theory that any person is connected to any other person through a chain of acquaintances with no more than 5 intermediaries or 6 total steps. It implies a small world phenomenon, suggesting that despite a huge global population, humanity is highly interconnected. Now, I have no idea if this is new age mumbo jumbo or whether it's fact, but it kind of makes sense to me, right? And so my philosophy or my idea is this: apply it to building warm connections through influencers or door openers. Don't just look for buyers all the time. Buyers will come. They'll come more naturally in the fullness of time. Expand your thinking by building a broad church of supporters and advocates, and adopt an introduction mindset and seek other connected people with the same paying it forward attitude as you. This is the way I like to think. And I know that there will be some people here, I know for sure, Catherine, perhaps, nodding their head and saying, yes, that's me. This is it. All right. Now, the effect of all this is more introductions and more people to vet and qualify, and more relationships and friendships to build. More people who love what you do because you properly educated them and will become part of an ever-growing pool of potential buyers. It will lead to more people, including other collaborators and so on. And yes, along the way, you'll find buyers. Some of the outcomes can be visibility opportunities. Let's say I was to introduce you to a well-known podcast host in your niche, in your space, and they've got a really good following, okay? And they're looking for guests. I introduce you to that person, you'll have a gig booked, maybe for a couple of months before it happens, because they're in demand. But because of my introduction and my endorsement of you, gives it a lot more weight with that podcast host. Now, is that podcast host going to become a client of yours? Probably not. But if that host has got the audience that's perfect for you, what do you think might happen if you handle it properly? So visibility opportunities, public speaking gigs, all sorts of opportunities like that. Doing a guest blog post on a congruent website. Learning opportunities. Problems can be solved in all sorts of ways. And sometimes you meet somebody that, like that Mike Koenigs right at the beginning there, I met him in Cabo St. Lucas. I've never hired him, but he has helped me a lot with upgrading my skills in the referral marketing arena. Okay, so learning opportunities, and then income opportunities could be a joint venture that you wouldn't even dreamed of years ago, but now because your vision has expanded and you're hot to trot, you're ready to rock and roll, or whatever phrase you want to use, you're really getting into this referral ecosystem program, okay? And all of a sudden you're meeting people that expand your vision of what is possible. Income opportunities sometimes just flow. Future people assets, okay, so that we're talking before about first level connections. We want to move beyond that, so that second degree connections, the people you haven't met yet. The way I look at it, there's two paths. You, the people that you know, they're your first levels, and the people you don't know, leveraging and you do that you get to that point where you do know more people, constantly expanding, leveraging other people's networks, multiple levels. Second level to you now, but maybe first level to you in a month, right? Someone who's third level to you through the 6 degrees of separation concept. Your ideal client might be 4 levels deep. You don't know. Your ideal client who can pay you 50 grand or something like that, maybe 4 levels deep. So one of your connectors, one of your introducers may have the right pathway into that person's thinking, into their brain, if you like, into their network. See? So 3 different types of people assets, like referral partnerships, if you like. Channel partners or referral partners, these are people who are in a similar industry to you, but they're not competing. They're servicing clients that are ideal for you, and you'd love to be introduced to some of their clients, right? Let's say you're an accountant. Accountant knows some lawyers. Accountant knows some business consultants. They've got the sort of clients the accountant would love. All right. Well, maybe we can set up a channel partnership there, because they're in the channel. They're in a similar kind of an industry. That's number one. Number two, authority influencers. They'll probably never become a client of yours. They may not be able to introduce you to a client, but through the 6 degrees of separation concept, they can open doors to other introducers who can open doors to other introducers. You see where I'm going with this? It's freaking exciting. And then finally, collaborations, cross-promotion partners. For instance, I collaborated with some accountants a long time ago, but before I became an online guy. It was in the offline world in Sydney, Australia, and I ended up running workshops for their business clients. I ran business marketing workshops for their small SMB clients, SMEs, right? And the accountant, my client, he got to give a talk. So we'd organise the whole thing. We'd book the room for the hotel, pay for the refreshments, do the invites to their clients. They gave us the list, and I got my assistant to send them out. And we'd select it. Before that, we'd select the night. It'd be a night time, and it might be 6 or 7 o'clock at night or something like that. So in rolls the accountant. We come in, then their clients start streaming in, and we ran a workshop for their client, the accountant's clients. Accountant gave a talk. I gave a talk. I picked up clients, some fantastic clients. From that, the accountant picked up more business because I taught the accountant what to teach their clients. Don't talk about tax and compliance. Talk about some of the other areas that you're very skilled at. They don't even know that you do these things. And I guarantee you, if you do it right, you'll pick up new business. Beautiful thing. Okay, positioning your for profit. I'm not the only one that talks about positioning. I know Sandra's really good at it, probably better than me in some respects. All I'm just saying here is know your lane. What is it? It's about how you show up. Oh, gee, I've got a typo in there. How you show up for your target audience. That's the way I look at it. I'm a very simple guy, right? Why should I buy from you? Can you answer it clearly in 30 seconds? Can you? Think about it. Call it the elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it. Is it clear, concise, impactful? The way forward, I think position yourself to be remembered for one thing first. This is my philosophy. Become known for one thing, because people can't store more than one. Sure, you've got lots of different skills and all the rest of it, as I do. But if I try and educate people about all the things I can do, like how to do direct messaging properly on LinkedIn, for instance, or on Facebook. And then I also position myself as a case study guy, business storytelling guy, and I also do this over here and this. Look, we have many skills, but why don't we just sort of narrow it down and become known for one thing first, one lane, one problem, one service. It's easier than trying to be known for several things at the same time. That's it, folks. If you want to have a talk with me, I'm happy to take questions, but I'm happy to put aside 30 minutes for a strategy call, but I'll leave that one with you. There's no offer to pitch you on or anything like that. Let me just get out of here and see if we can stop the sharing. Yes, stop the sharing. That should take me back into the room. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Most of you, yeah, that's good. Any questions?